We're going to start in about 5 minutes. So feel free to come around. You guys can stand on the side too and watch as well. There's recipes up here, we might pass them around. Down at the Good Food and Wine Show, my name's Brendan Pang. I am a cook based in Perth. I run my own dumpling business, it's called Bumplings. It's a made up word, it's basically Brendan's dumplings. Bumplings. But I think it's a great reflection of my cooking values and philosophy. It is my twist on food. It is making things more approachable for the home cook, making it fun from the home cook to everyone else out there as well, and just making food really easy. And what I hate the most is when people are like, oh, I'm not going to do that, it's too hard. I always think there is a way to make food and cooking either fun, easier, or like efficient, because I hate being in the kitchen for too long. And you'll see shortly, I get judged a bit, but I am all about using store-bought wrappers, so we're going to use that today. We've got a few people cheering, yes. But today I'm going to use V2 plant-based beef-style knits to make a dumpling. It is a plant-based product, soy-based, and for me, I'm not fully plant-based. I just like to cut back on the amount of meat that I eat. It's a kind of way to eat, a kind of way to think about the environment that we live in. Out of curiosity, has anyone used the plant-based product? Hands up if you have. Quite a few of you. Hands up, I mean, for the rest of you that haven't, who of you are a bit hesitant to try a plant-based product? Put your hands up. Yeah, it's not, don't be scared, like I think it's quite normal. It's a very new thing. But I think Asian cooking in particular, and dumplings, something where you can kind of hide that product. It's a great one to start on if you're unsure. Because I'm very curious to see you guys eat this afterwards, because for me, I think the texture and the flavor, you really won't be able to tell it's something different. So yeah, let's get started. So dumplings for me. I run dumpling classes back at home too, so I have heaps of tips for you. I think the biggest thing that I would share is that there's always a misconception that when it comes to dumplings, people think that it takes years of experience or expertise, so you need to grow up in a family that has taught you how to make dumplings. But really, when you think of it, dumplings, when it comes down to it, is pastry wrapped around like a savoury filling, and it can be cooked in any way. So really, you can put anything inside a dumpling. Cooking-wise, we'll get back to that later on, but today we're going to use the plant-based product. And every culture almost has one. So if you think about it, there's like pierogies, there's raviolis, there's Korean mandu, there's heaps of different dumplings. Myself, I'm Chinese Mauritian, so I focus on Chinese style dumplings. So I'm going to teach you how to make a Sichuan style, Northern Chinese kind of style dumplings today. So I've got my filling here, and this is my template in terms of seasoning. I've got recipes for you on the benches. We've got some up here for those of you standing on the outside. I think we pass them around. So to add to my filling, what I have here is light soy sauce. All right, hands up if soy is a staple in your pantry. Everyone. Keep your hands up if you know the difference between light soy and dark soy. Oh, only a few of you. Apart from color. Okay, I'm going to answer that for you. Light soy sauce basically has not been fermented for as long. It's a seasoning ingredient. It's salty, so instead of salt, we're going to use soy sauce. It has a bit of like an umami kind of taste to it too, which is great. Dark soy sauce is for colouring. And often when we eat a dumpling, you guys will notice too, it's never dark on the inside. Like you like to see the filling, you like to see the veg that you put in as well. So we won't use dark soy. The dark soy also has those caramelly kind of molasses tones. So I like to add that to like a stew when I'm using, actually in winter when I'm braising stuff as well, it's nice to add that complex flavour. But I'm going to add in light soy sauce for seasoning. I'm just chucking it all in. You guys do have the rest if you want to try this at home. This is how I was taught, just throw it in, taste it, and go from there. Okay, we're not using dark soy here, so we're not going to add that complex flavour, but instead of using dark soy, what I'm adding here is Chinese cooked wine. This is, for me, is quintessentially Chinese, like it's in every kind of Chinese dish that I use. It does have that kind of harsh alcohol flavour without the content of alcohol in there, because we are going to cook it as well, even though it's got the tiniest bit. Made from rice, a little sweet, a little salty, and a little bitter, so it adds a nice kind of different taste to this dish. So a little bit goes in. Oyster sauce, I've got veggie oyster sauce here, and a generous amount. And my grand-mère, so my grandmother, when I was growing up, all she added in our dumplings was literally just mince and oyster sauce, and that was it. So if all else fails, this can be your hero. But honestly, whatever you have in the pantry. If you guys have hoisin, if you have any other ingredients, like have some fun with it. I think you can put anything inside a dumpling. I've got some sesame oil here. A dash, literally the tiniest bit. Who's put too much in before and it's just like wafted of sesame? It's such a strong flavour. So I think of this as an essence instead. Don't think of it so much as an oil. It's just for a little bit of like a toasty, roasty flavour to our dumpling filling. So we're adding all these different things here. I think a lot of people at home would probably, maybe I've seen some just like soy and some very basic ingredients. But if you have all these are all staples in my pantry, not just for dumplings. These sauces will go a long way in Chinese cooking, so I would recommend using these. Okay, we're going to add a dash of ground white pepper. Texture is a big thing for me as well. So we're not adding in freshly cracked pepper because I don't want to have that mouthfeel of pepper in there. But I like the fragrance of the white pepper. You don't have to use that if you don't have it. You can substitute it in for a different pepper or spice. Going to add in a bit of sugar to balance everything out. So we've added the savouriness from the oyster sauce, saltiness from the soy. We've got that complex kind of Shaoxing wine there, the cooking wine, a bit of sugar, and then to help it all come together, some cornstarch. I always use a binding agent, so cornstarch is a great one. And finally, a bit of ginger. And here's my little tip. I mean, this is quite a uniform piece of ginger, but they often have little knobs and pieces sticking out, and I find a lot of people cut them off. But what you can do at home is get a little teaspoon, rest your thumb on the back of the ginger, and basically pull it towards you, just like that. Can you guys see that up there? Yeah, cool. So I'm pulling it towards me, and very naturally the spoon works its way around the grooves, and we don't waste too much. There we go. I guess if it's a younger piece, you can grate it straight in. Sometimes you have quite a thick and hardy kind of skin on the piece of ginger. Another one to prolong or push your produce a bit further without wasting. What we do back at home at Bumplings, because we use so much ginger, is we keep these scraps and with a neutral oil, so something with no flavour, we add that to a pot, let it simmer or infuse for a while, and we end up with a nice kind of fragrant ginger oil. Same as what you'd use sesame oil for, like an essence. So I'd add that at the end of like a fried rice or a stir fry, and just adds a nice little different touch to it. Or like a salad dressing. I think that ginger oil would work really well in. Okay, let's grate this ginger in. Gonna give that a mix. Who's made dumplings before? A few people. With store-bought wrappers? Yes, love it. Who's made the pastry from scratch? I mean, for you foodies out there that do want to learn the full technique from the dough to making the fillings and different sauces, I do have my cookbook here, and yes, it's called This Is a Book About Dumplings, so there's everything in there for you. We're selling it up the front afterwards at Dimmicks. You can go up there, and I'll head on down as well. So I'm going to give you this a good mix, and I'm going to marinate it. So basically set it aside just for the flavours to kind of infuse. What kind of dumplings have you guys made? Pork? Yep. Any like steamed, boiled, pan-fried? Steamed. Lovely. I'm going to teach you how to pan-fry today. Alright, give that a good mix. Well, after this you guys will have all the tips on making dumplings. But still, if you don't feel like it, look, I do have my frozen range out there too. Thought I'd throw that in there at Woolies. But yeah, what I love most, I think, about what I do is that I love sharing my tips and tricks in the kitchen. So if you're on Instagram or jump on, I have all these really fun and different ways of looking at cooking, and dumplings especially. Like, I made this really cool, I think it's cool, a dumpling omelette. I made like a gutto the other day with some frozen dumplings, and it's just fun to like change things up in the kitchen. But also respecting tradition as well. I'm very big on that. Otherwise I'll get told off by my grandmother. Alrighty, dumpling filling is setting aside. We're going to get to the following shortly, the really fun part. But before we get to that, I'm just going to talk through my serving suggestion. And this is a great way, I think, of plating up dumplings or serving it when it comes to entertaining. Because you know when you